Welcome, welcome to Village in Motion. I'm losing my voice. I'm your host, Marcia Boyles, and I'm delighted to begin this morning introducing our Executive Director, Ben Cornthwaite.
You got it.
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Marcia.
I'm glad to have you, and we had announced the Shining Stars, but we don't have Shining Stars today.
I think we're gonna pivot. Apparently, there was maybe a communication snafu, and here we are without our Shining Stars.
Yes,
So
yes.
I think Monday's program will end up featuring those Shining Star winners here for the month and quarter.
So in the meantime, you and I can be the Shining Stars and talk.
There we go. We'll do our best.
Excellent. Ben, do you want to start with some updates? Tell us what is happening at Green Spring. How did the gala go?
Sure. So first and foremost on the gala, I think we had a really great time. We had about 250 residents, vendors, and staff participate in the event directly, on September 25th, and it was just a fun time. The theme was convenient this year to lend itself to both kind of the formal black tie approach, but also the casual, comfortable approach as well. So denim and diamonds, of course, was the theme, and I think because of that, it was a relaxed atmosphere, but also a fun one as well. So we had a country western band that was playing, and had some great music and some dancing for us to enjoy. And then, of course, we had the Johnny Cash tribute band played in the theater later on that evening. And then we also had some other musical talent, a string trio that was providing some just really elegant music for us in the Akatink room for part of the dessert function.
Was that Sue Frankie's group?
It was Sue and Natalie Frankie, and then they had another. I'm sorry, I don't know the other. The harpist's name, but just a delightful presentation.
It had certainly good reviews, and the casino.
Yeah. Casino, we had some good food and some drink as well, and great company. But obviously, as the mission and really the true value of that program is fundraising, and so we were able to raise a little over $290,000.
Very good.
Collectively for that event. So something we can all be proud of, and obviously the peace of mind that brings to residents in the community, I think, is one of the most important fundamentals. So as I've mentioned in prior conversations and articles, these are really good people that have lived at Green Spring often for years and years and years, and for no reason or no fault of their own have fallen on difficult times. And whether it's...
You're talking about the recipients of the Benevolent Care Fund. Oh, absolutely.
So obviously an anonymous
How
program.
many are there in this year?
So right now, I believe we have 3 to 4 residents that are benefiting from some contribution of
3 to 4.
Of Benevolent
I thought
Care.
it was larger than that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in general, we have a group of residents that we are helping through the spend down process, which is kind of the precursor to actually receiving benevolent care support.
We should probably explain, Ben, that if you find yourself absent funds, that the first thing that happens then is that you spend down your deposit.
That's right. So and Brian Marandola, the Associate Executive Director that works right next to my office, is the primary point person for that. So and really the trigger for that is if a resident's ever having a difficult time meeting their standard monthly obligations, connect with Brian and let's we can walk you through what needs to happen. There's a small application that gives us a little bit of background information as to what the need is, how are the expenses rolling up, and then what we can do is to offer what we call a spend down of entrance deposit, which basically looks at any shortfall of income or assets to be able to pay down your monthly obligations. We would do a drawdown from your entrance deposit to offset that. So making up numbers here, let's assume your monthly obligations were $5,000, yet your monthly income was only $2,000. You'd completely spent through your other savings and or assets. At that point, there's a $3,000 difference, and so what we'd be able to do is you still contribute your $2,000, but then we spend down the entrance deposit in $3,000 increments so that you can meet your monthly obligation of $5,000.
And that's all done on a confidential basis.
It is, absolutely. But the peace of mind I think that it brings is that even if you should then go through your entire entrance deposit, gosh, do I have to find another place to live? And The good news is here at Green Spring, and since our inception 17 years ago, have never had to ask a resident to leave for financial inability to pay. So that's, I think, just an awesome peace of mind as you see these roller coaster, movement of stock markets and just life itself. To have that safety net under you of
absolutely.
Is
I think it provides a great sense of security.
Yeah. So we had some fun, and obviously the most important thing is we raised some good money for a really noble cause here in the community. So that was great. A little thing called Hurricane Joaquin reared its ugly head last week, and thankfully took a sharp turn right. So didn't end up bringing mass destruction, at least to our area. Unfortunately, for some of the southern part of the state, as well as some of the southern states, South Carolina in particular, bore the brunt of some pretty significant rainfalls and flooding. We were prepared here at Green Spring, and I know that Lynn's office had sent out some communication to residents just saying, we're monitoring the weather events on TV and wanting to make sure that we're staying a step ahead. So our general services team did some things preliminarily in coordination with our security office as well, to remind residents that may have balconies and patios to secure some of those belongings in the event that we had some wind that was produced as a result of that. But other more functional things as well, to make sure that any preventative efforts could be made to keep our storm drains clear, the French drains that we have in some low-lying areas, make sure that mulch or leaves or something hadn't clogged those areas, so that we were really looking to mitigate any rising.
There was no
rising
huge
water.
damage of any sort.
Really none remarkable for certainly directly related to the storm here for our campus, thank goodness. But we were ready just in case.
Yes.
And it's always a reminder, I think, for us to remind residents as well to be self-prepared for that. Although administratively, our team does some extra things on top. We really want, and our model is built upon the premise that residents are also self-prepared in that as well. So
we're noticing that you're doing some paving in front of Hunter's Crossing.
Indeed we are. So some mammoth equipment, stripping some of the asphalt down, and over the years, just through the expansion and contraction of the asphalt with winter storms and salting and plowing efforts, some of the Hunter's Crossing parking lot area has been riddled with potholes.
There were some mighty potholes.
Yeah. So not only does that pose a safety hazard for people in cars, but also on foot as well. So that work began earlier this week, and I believe is scheduled to wrap up this week, or in fact today, I believe.
Oh, is it? Good.
So I know that that's disruptive to the shuttle schedule and in terms of pickup and drop-off points, parking for guests and prospective folks that are coming in. But nonetheless, that'll wrap up today.
It was needed.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. A couple other things on the horizon as well. We've got a lot of special projects in motion, and part of what I've desired in the time frame that I've been here is to bring some regular updates back to the community via our coffee sessions on a monthly basis, to give updates on key projects, the timelines, and just information sharing. So we've decided, I think this last month we did a trial of some neighborhood sessions, and really tried to, we almost tripled the work of communicating to break up into literally neighborhood segments, to bring some updates similarly to Coffee with Ben, but done it in a smaller fashion. The idea and the strategy was, can we do a more intimate session that might have more neighborhood-specific content and information that may come about? But the primary premise was driven around, let's let the Q&A session drive the content versus us coming up with the content that we think would be relevant.
Ben, I did not attend any of them, I'm sorry to say. How did they go?
I think they went fine. The feedback was mixed. I think some residents, we heard from residents that the more formal approach of a slideshow presentation was preferred, and part of it as well, rather than just my talking head, to have other directors as part of that, added, I think, value to the presentation. So we're going to go back to more of that standard monthly format this month in October, and we'll have the normal presentations as we had in the past.
All right. Did you assume when you did that by neighborhood that there were neighborhood-specific issues, or just simply the size of the anticipated audience?
I think a combination of both, but I think there was also one other strategy in it, was that rather than once a month, one time slot, it either works or it doesn't work, it gave 3 opportunities.
Yes.
And sometimes we run into, resident schedules are very busy, and
I
whether it's a
see.
doctor's appointment that conflicts,
Right.
I hear from people all the time, I wanted to come to the meeting,
So
but
it
I had
simply
something else.
provided greater opportunity.
It did. So
Okay.
we'll sprinkle those in, I think, in the future as well, but we'll keep it more topically timed and oriented. So if there's a new specific topic we need to get deeper into, perhaps we'll offer some of those neighborhood sessions. But yeah, I think the intent was to demonstrate, but also to really try to make sure that my office, my team is connecting with residents on a regular basis, seeking input and valuing that feedback and that discussion as a community, two-way dialogue versus us just reporting out.
Makes sense.
So we'll see. So coming up, I believe it's the 3rd Monday, which would be October 19th, if I'm not mistaken, is the next round of coffee with the executive team, and so we'll do that in the standard monthly format over in Hunters Crossing Conference Center, just as we had typically before. So lots else doing in the community, and I think at that session, Lynn will give us a general update on all the other special projects that are happening here on campus, and then we'll also get into some details as it relates to the signature dining program and kind of where we're at from a timing perspective on launching that program.
Has a time schedule been established at this point?
So there's a rough schedule itself, but as I've shared in other resident circles, my preference is to keep it more metric oriented rather than date oriented. And I'll explain what I mean is that rather than a calendar day pushing us to say we're going to launch on this day whether or not we're ready, is to say let's let some predetermined metrics drive when the actual launch date occurs. And I think,
well, you need to be ready.
That's right.
Really what you're saying.
That's right.
But can you give us just some notion, I mean, in terms of maybe a month?
I believe we're probably looking at the end of October.
End of October, early November?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Ben, I see that our time is up. Can't believe it. Anything you'd like to leave us with?
Just again, thanks for this time of year as we get into October, November, the fall harvest time frame. It just reminds me of all that we have to be thankful for, and personally for me, just deep appreciation for being a part of this community and being a part of what Green Spring really represents, and I think together, residents, management, staff working together to continue that investment in the great thing that our community has become, but I also think that there's more opportunity for us to be even better. And so I think that I value the partnership of you and other residents to help in that notion. And hopefully our communication is working in a more enhanced fashion today to seek input, seek resident feedback and direction to help mold and shape what the future of Green Spring really looks like.
Well, nicely put. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming this morning.
Thanks, and thanks for the pivot this morning without our shining stars.
Well, I think we did very well in their absence. Thank you so much for coming.
Marcia.
We'll have a short roll-in.